Hello, flat earthers of the world. There's a lot of controversies regarding solar eclipse on August 21st, 2017 that leads to the ultimate question, is the heliocentric model correct or wrong? In this short video, collaborating with Sugianto Sulistiono, a professional doctorate majoring in computer physics, and Najwa Azahra, a medical doctor, founder of Indonesian Flat Earth Community, we will use all scientific data to study the Great American Eclipse. The conclusions are quite devastating. The speed is deceiving, the angle is wrong, the path is impossible, and the moon's diameter is wrong.
Satellite, minus 10. Twilight.
I feel the moon pulling me away.
We all know that the sun and the moon both rise in the east and set in the west. In your flat earth, what you see is what you get. The sun and the moon are moving clockwise, from east to west.
What I can do.
As you know, in our flat earth, if you are facing north wherever you are, your left is the west and your right is the east. Therefore, if you fly straight from west to east, you will come back to your starting point.
Satellite,
And so do the sun and the moon. The other fact is, if a source of light moving in one direction passes an object, the shadow will always move in opposite direction. So, as the sun and the moon are moving from east to west, and the sun passes the moon, the shadow is moving in opposite direction, from west to east, exactly like reality. Cause in our flat earth, what you see is what you get. Now, in the globe model, in order to make the sun and the moon rise in the east, set in the west, they have to make the globe model rotate from west to east. In this way, the east side of the earth encounters the sun earlier than the west side of the earth. Most of the time, the globe model can accommodate almost everything from flat earth reality, projected in different shapes, different sizes, different distances, and different speeds. It's only mathematical assumptions. They calculated one by one, gradually and individually within thousands of years. It's all started 2,300 years ago when Aristarchus calculated the size and distance of the moon using eclipses based on assumptions if the earth was a ball. From that assumptions, he calculated the size and distance of the sun. Then people adapted his method and assumptions to calculate the whole solar system, then the whole galaxy, and so on and so on. Assumptions upon assumptions. But sometimes, when a bunch of mathematical assumptions mix together to explain rare cases like solar eclipse, they just don't add up. Many people argue whether the globe model can make eclipse shadow from west to east or not. Let's make it clear, once and for all. If we put all the data on the table transparently, in a way that everyone can understand, measure, and verify themselves, the answer is yes and no. Yes if and but no. Now the yes if first. Yes, eclipse shadow on the globe model can move from west to east only if moon's orbital speed is faster than Earth's rotation speed. In heliocentric model, the moon's orbital speed is twice as fast as the Earth's rotation speed. With this paradigm, for sure, the shadow will move from west to east. Let's make a model to make it easier to understand. The distance is not to scale. The moon should be 30 Earth diameter away. If the Earth rotates 1,670 kilometers in 1 hour to your right, and the moon orbits 3,683 kilometers to your right too, then you draw a straight line from moon's diameter to the Earth. You will see the moon's line is farther than the Earth's line. But of course, 3,683 kilometers is farther than 1,670 kilometers. You don't even need a model to understand. This is called linear speed. In this way, the eclipse shadow moves from west to east because the moon is faster than the Earth. It's mathematically correct based on that assumptions and paradigm. But there's a big problem. It defies natural fact. If the moon is faster than the Earth's rotation, you would see the moon is setting to the east, the opposite of reality. Let's use mooncalc.org to make it easier. Find a place that has 90-degree elevation of the moon. Imagine the Earth is moving 1,670 kilometers per hour, west to east to your right, and the moon is moving 3,683 kilometers per hour to the same direction. Within 1 hour, you would see the moon is more to your right, because it's faster and travels more distance than the Earth, right? Wrong. See what happens if you add time for 1 hour. Ooh, the moon is going to your left, because the Earth is rotating faster. How come 1,670 kilometers per hour travels faster than 3,683 kilometers per hour? It's because the distance traveled by the moon is 60 times longer than Earth's circumference. Now we're talking about the other kind of speed, the angular speed. Take bicycle wheel as an example of angular speed. The farthest part from the axis, the tire is moving faster than the axis, but actually it's the same angular speed. The farther from the axis, the faster it moves, but actually the same angular speed. Now, the Earth is rotating 360 degrees in 24 hours. It means 15 degrees per hour. If the Earth is moving 15 degrees counterclockwise to your right, and according to heliocentrism, the Sun is at rest, then you will see the Sun appears to be setting 15 degrees to your left. That's the angular speed of the Sun due to Earth's rotation, okay? While the Moon is orbiting the Earth 360 degrees in 29.5 days. Some people like to say 27.3 days, sidereal month, the Moon's position with respect to the stars. It's irrelevant, for we are counting the Moon's position with respect to the Earth, nothing to do with the stars. So we have to use synodic month, average 29.5 days. The angular speed of Moon's orbit is 1 per 24 hours divided by 29.5 days times 360 degrees equals to 0.51 degree per hour. That means when the Earth in an hour is rotating 15 degrees to your right, making the Sun appears to be setting to your left 15 degrees. The Moon is moving 0.51 degree to your right. That makes the Moon appears to be slower than the Earth's rotation. Let's go back to mooncalc.org. The Moon's elevation angle is 90 degrees. Then change the time to 1 hour later. Now you see the elevation is subtracted to 75.81 degree. 75 degree because the Earth is rotating 15 degree from previous 90 degree elevation. 0.81 degree is the Moon's traveling distance in 1 hour. Mooncalc is using different moon distance on that day. Or perhaps they're using sidereal month. It's all mathematical assumptions. They don't even look to the sky. The Moon moves 0.5 degree against the Earth moves 15 degrees per hour. With these assumptions and paradigm, for sure, the eclipse shadow moves from east to west, the opposite of reality. So which one applies to the Moon and the Earth's speeds that creates eclipse shadow? Linear speed or angular speed? They will say it's the linear speed that matters.
The Moon is orbiting about twice as fast as the Earth is spinning. So if we're looking down on the Earth and we're at the Moon, we see the Earth spinning, but the Moon is moving faster.
Wrong. Even if you're at the Moon, in 1 hour, you would see the Earth is setting 0.51 degree to your left, while it's rotating 15 degrees to your right. Even if you're looking from the Moon, the Earth's rotation is still faster. That means eclipse shadow in the globe model goes from east to west, the opposite of reality. Perhaps other people would say, oh, the Moon is slower than the Earth, but the shadow moves faster. That makes the shadow moves from west to east. Well, this sounds plausible in theory, but if you put the data, it's not correct. The Sun is 400 times bigger than the Moon. The Moon's traveling distance for 5 hours is just like a dot to the heliocentric Sun. If the Moon moves in 5 hours, 18,415 kilometers, it only makes 0.006989959 degree difference. If the Moon moves 18,415 kilometers to the right side of the Sun, The shadow's distance on Earth is 18,460 kilometers, almost the same with the distance traveled by the Moon. Science says eclipse shadow moves at the same speed with the Moon, and the eclipse shadow path is the same length with the distance traveled by the Moon. So, if someone says the Moon is slower than the Earth but the shadow moves faster to make shadow from west to east, it's debunked by their own science. Another possibility, other people would say the Earth is also orbiting the Sun. That makes the shadow moves from west to east. Again, a plausible theory if you don't do the math. How come the Earth that's rotating 1,670 kilometers to your right and the Moon is 384,000 kilometers away, orbiting the Earth at 3,683 kilometers per hour, and the Sun is 149.6 million kilometers from the Earth, while the Earth is orbiting the Sun at 110,000 kilometers per hour. It's almost 100 times faster than the speed of sound. Plus, the Sun is also moving at 72,000 kilometers per hour, almost 60 times faster than the speed of sound. Can create eclipse shadow 18,415 kilometers on Earth within 5 hours. Do the math, do it yourself. They never include the Earth's orbit in calculating eclipses because they assume the Moon is always attached with the Earth wherever it goes. In most solar system animations that you usually see, the Sun is at rest. This is heliocentric. The Sun is the center of the universe. But later, they knew it's impossible. They say the Sun is also moving at 72,000 kilometers per hour across the space. Another mathematical assumptions on paper without experiment. They never put them all together when calculating eclipses. This is very important information. Most people think that NASA can predict eclipses accurately, that they have very advanced knowledge. Therefore, it proves that heliocentric is true. Unfortunately, that's not the case. All eclipse predictions provided by NASA, including this 5 millennium, 5,000 years of eclipses, are using Saros cycle invented by ancient Babylonians thousands of years ago. Both solar and lunar eclipses are so predictable because they always repeat in a cycle of 18 years, 11 days and 8 hours. It's called Saros cycle and it has nothing to do with heliocentric. Ancient Babylonians believed the Earth is flat, the Sun and the Moon are revolving around the Earth, and so do the stars and other celestial bodies. They didn't calculate the distances, sizes, and speeds based on false assumptions and speculations like heliocentric teachings. They simply observed the sky and took whatever it is. With that paradigm, they can predict eclipses accurately. Such predictions are impossible to be done using heliocentric model. In its 5 millennium catalog of solar and lunar eclipses, NASA wrote that all eclipse calculations are by Fred Espenat, a retired NASA's employee. NASA never calculated and predicted eclipses using heliocentric model. They simply hired the best Saros researcher, their retired employee, Fred Espenat, to calculate and predict eclipses using ancient Babylonians method that has nothing to do with heliocentric. NASA even wrote that Fred Espenat is responsible for the accuracy of those 5,000 years catalog of eclipses. For thousands of years, some astronomers collected eclipse cycle all around the world based on Saros cycle. They have started to do this long time before NASA was established in 1958. Astronomers like Fred Espenat simply collected eclipse database from other local astronomers all around the world. As you see in this table, it's made by other astronomer G. Vandenberg in 1955. That's what Fred Espenat did. He is a very good Saros researcher. Why would NASA need Saros cycle if they can calculate eclipses using heliocentric math? Obviously, because they can't. A bunch of mathematical assumptions when combined together to calculate eclipses, they just don't add up. There's an interesting review from Matt Parker from Stand Up Math's channel. He's the only person who got prestigious title as London Mathematical Society Popular Lecturer, a very smart and articulative mathematician. Here's what he said about predicting eclipses using heliocentric math.
And so I'm going to show you the mathematics behind how we can predict when they're going to happen. We can do the calculations on the elliptical orbit of the Moon as the Earth goes around the Sun, and we can calculate how often the moon goes between the sun and the earth. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. It is a wonder we have eclipses at all. But then, out of all this chaos, another cosmic coincidence steps forward to save the day. It's called the Saros cycle, and it allows us to predict when eclipses are going to happen in the reasonably near future.
Some thickheads still don't understand why NASA uses Saros cycle to predict eclipses. They say there are a lot of software predicting eclipses using heliocentric math. You can download free software like Stellario. It can predict eclipses. Well, if a free software can predict eclipses with heliocentric model, then why NASA, with $19 billion budget per year, can predict eclipses using heliocentric model? Which one makes more sense to you? All astronomy software are using ECLIPSE database from NASA. It's not the other way around. After NASA published this 5 millennium catalog of solar and lunar eclipses, people use the database to make animation using whatever model they want. Just put one eclipse time to another. The software will automatically adjust to make those two eclipses happen as programmed. It's not the other way around. After you get ECLIPSE database, you can make animation with square Earth if you like. You can put whatever distance, whatever size. The software will adjust in accordance to the eclipse dates. Some thickheads even try to run from reality by saying NASA provides a software in its website to predict eclipses. Look at this database used by NASA. 5,000 years catalog of solar eclipse database. You can choose what year, what eclipse type, duration, and oops, it's Saros cycle, not heliocentric math. This is the 3D movement of their heliocentric model. The sizes, distances, and speeds are not to scale. This is just to make you have an idea of the true heliocentric concept. The question is, how could NASA, 48 years ago, kept up with the Earth's orbital speed, almost 100 times faster than the speed of sound, and also kept up with the sound speed across the space at almost 60 times faster than the speed of sound? That's just a warming up. In the next section, you will see scientific facts based on official data that eclipse in the globe model is a real fantasy. Scientific data that everybody can verify and do experiment themselves as referred to as scientific method. With this official data, you will get the undebunkable result that eclipses completely fail to work on the globe model. The data is always there all the time. You just didn't realize what it means.
Trying to free your mind, Neo. But I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.
Stay tuned. Let's take a look at their official data taken from NASA's website, the Great American Eclipse Path. NASA also provides external link for more details. This is a picture that destroys globe model if you understand what it means. First, let's find out the eclipse duration that began at the far west and ended at the far east. We're not looking for eclipse beginning and ending in one location, as there are so many locations. What we're looking is the beginning and ending of the whole eclipse happened on that day. You just click the path and they give you complete information. See the start of partial eclipse is 1555 UTC, then the end of partial eclipse 2055 UTC. Now we have credible data that total eclipse duration is 5 hours. Secondly, how far is that eclipse length? Take a look at the longitude. It started at 171.2 degree west and ended at 27.4 degree west. The eclipse length longitude is 143.7 degrees. Do you realize how far is 143.7 degrees in a globe? Let's copy-paste some coordinates from the eclipse site to Google Maps to measure the approximate distance. It's around 40,000 kilometers. Now, apply it to the globe map. See, the eclipse distance, 143.7 degrees, is already 40% of the Earth's circumference. So, within 5 hours of eclipse, out of 24 hours a day, or around 20% of the day, somehow, miraculously, the shadow length covers 40% of the globe. Let's make a scale model now to understand that eclipse length of 143.7 degrees is mathematically and geometrically impossible. We've made scale model of the eclipse using AutoCAD. In this video, I'm collaborating with many people from Flat Earth 101 community. You have seen the work of Najwa and Anggol Aji specially made for you. For this AutoCAD, I want to make it as precise as possible, so I collaborate with people from the community again, this time with Tejo. He's a successful architect who is very familiar with AutoCAD. And he's not alone. People in his office also helped us to make this model. They are flat earthers too. These are the assumptions I took from mainstream science database. We made this model based on that official data at that particular date and that particular spot as referred by NASA. Let's start with the Earth. Of course we can make it pretty with 3D Earth, but that's not our objective now. It's not about beauty, it's about precision. The Earth radius and diameter are precise according to heliocentric data. These 5 lines represent the Earth's rotation for 5 hours, the eclipse duration. Each line represents 15 degrees. 5 lines equal to 75 degrees. The 0 point represents the first second of the eclipse. The Earth rotates anticlockwise from west to east. So if you are standing over here at 0 point, in 5 hours you will be over there. Now let's go to the moon. It's 30 Earth diameters away. The Earth is a small circle over here and the moon is over there. Let's zoom in. This is the moon at 0 point when the first second of partial eclipse started. These 5 moons represent its movements every hour, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. This is the moon's radius and diameter according to standard heliocentric. This is the moon's traveling distance every hour. Within 5 hours, it travels 18,415 kilometers. That's the linear speed. But the orbit is so big, 29.5 days, and 5 hours means almost nothing. So if you draw a line from the moon's axis to the Earth's axis, this 18,415 kilometers is only 2.55 degrees angular speed on Earth. It's hard to see at this true scale. Let's split it into 2 screens, the moon on your left side, the Earth on your right side. This is the 0 point when the first partial eclipse happened. The line goes to 0 point on Earth. In 5 hours, the moon will be over there. If you're standing on Earth over here, 5 hours later, you will rotate from west to east and you'll be over here. You will see the moon is setting to the west due to Earth's rotation. Exactly like you've seen at mooncalc, you add time, the moon goes to the west. And the elevation angle is subtracted from 90 degree to around 75 degree in 1 hour. For 5 hours, it would be around 18 degrees near the horizon, almost setting. This is the proof that it's the angular speed that applies. What about the linear speed? After 5 hours, the moon's position is over here. We draw straight linear lines from the moon. Where do the lines fall on Earth? Man, it's far outside the Earth. Theoretically, linear speed is wrong. After 5 hours, you will see the moon is setting to the west. In reality, you don't see the moon is over here, like it's setting to your east. The moon is over there, near the horizon, setting in the west. The funny thing is, even though the moon is over here, setting in the east, the shadow will fall outside the Earth. If you use angular speed, eclipse shadow moves from east to west, the opposite of reality. If you're using linear speed, the moon sets in the east, and the shadow falls outside the Earth after a few hours. Any which way, they're wrong. It really doesn't work on the globe model. What about the shadow speed? We've been through this. Their own science says the eclipse shadow speed is the same as the moon speed itself. Look once again at their eclipse shadow speed. The shadow is never faster than the moon speed.
The shadow knows.
Poor globe model. Let's be generous to them. Give the globe model a generous discount. Let's start not from 90-degree elevation, but instead from 0 degree like we have solar eclipse at 6 a.m. in the morning. You can't even see the sun at horizon level. Then you have 5 hours eclipse. And still, if using linear speed, the shadow goes outside the Earth. Do you know why it fails? Because you can't get 5 hours eclipse on the globe model. The moon would travel 18,415 kilometers, while the Earth's diameter is only 12,742 kilometers. That would make the moon half Earth, outside the Earth. This is real fantasy, folks. Congratulations. Based on their official data, you just found a fatal error on the globe model. Now let's see the eclipse movement with 3D model. You can use solar system scope. It's supposed to be correct according to heliocentric model. The time, speeds, directions, and eclipse duration are to scale. Only the sizes are not to scale. They make them bigger to make it easier for you to see the movements. Set your time to August 21st, 2017 at 3:55 p.m. UTC. We'll run it for 5 hours, scaled to about 5 seconds. It's gonna be quick, but we can replay it. The time will be 3:55 p.m. to 8:55 p.m. Please focus on the Earth rotation speed and direction, also the Moon's orbital speed and direction. See which one is faster. Ready? Go! You see that the Earth rotation is faster. Let's zoom it. The Moon is almost like not moving. That means they are using angular speed. The Earth rotating at 15 degrees per hour. The Moon's traveling at 0.51 degree per hour. With this angular speed, to which direction the shadow goes? Because the Earth is spinning faster to the east, the Moon's shadow goes the opposite direction, from east to west. Exactly like Najwa has shown you, only this 3D animation is using true scale of speeds according to heliocentrism. But don't trust CGI cartoons. Let's make a real-life model now. This time, I collaborate with Pupu. He's a technical engineer and a very diligent researcher. He made our previous AutoCAD scale model into real-life model. This is the Earth and the Moon's model to scale. This is the Moon's traveling distance in 5 hours. And this is the Earth's rotation in 5 hours too. This is the Earth-Moon distance. You remember those angular lines. The Moon travels 18,415 kilometers, but is only 2.55 degrees from the Earth's axis. That's the true sizes, distances, and speeds according to heliocentric model. Assisted by Damar as cameraman, we put 3 cameras on the model. First one is above the Earth to see the Earth's rotation angles. Second camera is above the Moon to see the Moon's traveling distance and angles. Third one is behind the Moon to see where the shadow falls in 5 hours time scale. Remember, we're not looking for the eclipse shadow size. The source of light with the scale should be 475 meters or almost half kilometers away, and the lamp diameter should be 4.36 meters. It's irrelevant for this purpose because we're just looking at the shadow's direction, not the shadow size. We start from the 0 point where the eclipse starts. You see the Earth is at 0 degree position and the Moon is also at 0 degree position. The shadow is slightly to the west of the Earth because the eclipse started at 15:55 UTC or 10:55 local time in the morning. If you stand on that shadow point on Earth, you would see the Moon is slightly to the east where the Moon rises as appears on Earth. Now the Earth rotates for 15 degrees. The Moon is moving 3,683 kilometers, but only 0.51 degree from the Earth's axis. See where the shadow falls. Oops, it's not angular speed, but linear speed. This is a disaster for the globe model. Yes, it means the shadow moves from west to east, but it means the Moon is setting to the east, and within 3 hours, the shadow will go outside the Earth. Second hour. Third hour. You see the shadow already falls outside the Earth. Fourth hour. It's more than the Earth diameter. This is the fifth hour. The shadow goes half Earth outside the Earth. How can heliocentrism predict eclipses if the maths don't even add up for one eclipse? No wonder NASA still use ancient Babylonian solar cycle. Let's take a look at who are these Babylonians who invented solar cycle. Babylonians are descendants of Sumerian, the first modern human civilization 6,000 years ago, earlier than ancient Egypt. It's located in Mesopotamia or modern-day Syria and Iraq. the birthplace of Abraham, the father of three religions, Hebrew, Christian, and Islam. It's the cradle of civilization. Their inventions and achievements are still used today. Astronomy, irrigation, architecture, mathematics, politics, code of law, urban planning, almost everything except internet and cable TV. They are very smart people. Their alphabets, cuneiform, consist of 400 characters, not 26 characters ABCD like us. Their numeral system is sexagesimal or base 60, not base 10 like us. Sexagesimal is very good for counting big numbers and small numbers, still used today for measuring time, angles, and geographic coordinates. They are the one who invented 360 degrees in a circle. Do you know why there are 660 degrees in a circle? It's the average days of the sun and the moon circling the earth in a year. The sun is circling the earth in 365.2425 days, and the moon is circling the earth in 354.3829 days. Add those numbers, you will get 719.61 days. So the average of lunar and solar days in a year is 359.8 days, rounding to 360 days. That's where the Babylonians got the idea of 360 degrees in a circle and got sexagesimal numeric system base 60. It's really natural science. They are the one who invented lunar calendar, synodic month, the real astronomical event. The beginning and ending of each month is based on moon phases, hence the name month. That's natural science. On the other hand, modern day solar calendar system is based on nothing. If you want to make solar calendar based on natural phenomena, the new year should be either summer June 22nd, autumn September 23rd, winter December 22nd, or spring March 21st. But solar calendar starts with January the 1st, which means nothing, and ends with December 31st, which also means nothing. It's not really solar calendar, and every date of the month has nothing to do with the moon. You're using a wrong calendar system. Yet Babylonians were aware of solar cycle too, so they invented the so-called lunisolar calendar. Its lunar calendar consists of 12 months, the closest lunar cycle with solar cycle in a year. They are the one who invented 7 days in a week. They observed the stars are moving in the same directions and the same speed, except there are 7 sky objects that move differently. They call it the 7 wandering stars. Later, by the ancient Greeks, is called planets. That's the origin of the word planet. Planet is not a ball that living creature can live on it like you always see in CGI cartoons published by NASA. Planet is a wandering star, a star which has its own path and speed circling the Earth. Those 7 wandering stars, or 7 planets of the Earth, are the Sun, the Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. Then Babylonians devoted 7 days every week to honor those 7 wandering stars. The first day to honor the Sun, hence the name Sunday. Second day to honor the Moon, Monday. Third day is for Mars, or in Nordic is called Tyr, Tuesday. Fourth day for Mercury, Mercredi in French. In German and Dutch is called Odin or Woden, Wednesday. Fifth day for Jupiter, Jueves in Spanish, is Nordic god Thor, Thursday. Sixth day to honor Venus, Viernes in Spanish, is Nordic god of Frigg, Friday. The seventh day to honor Saturn, Saturday. That's the influence of Babylonian culture. We still use it until now. Babylonians are the ones who invented the concept of clock, the sundial. Then they divided a day by 12 hours daytime and 12 hours nighttime. Where did they get the number 12? Of course, it's the 12 zodiac constellations in a year, and it takes 12 lunar cycles or months for the sun to return to its original position. Like every other celestial body circling the Earth in a certain cycle, Babylonians observed that solar and lunar eclipses happen in a cycle of 18 years, 11 days, and 8 hours. That's the only way to predict eclipses. Nothing to do with heliocentric speeds and distances. Babylonians were using lunar calendar. They knew that solar eclipses always happen in new moon, and lunar eclipses always happen in full moon. They knew well that during solar eclipses, the moon's position is at the nearest point to the sun. Yet, they never thought it's the moon that eclipsing the sun. This is very interesting. Since kids, we've been told and educated in schools that solar eclipses are caused by the moon, and moon eclipses are caused by the ball Earth's shadow. A theory without any single proof, but taught in schools like a fact. Babylonians, however, observed the sky much more often and more careful than us. They didn't have internet and cable TV or social media to chat. They had the luxury of time to live in harmony with nature. Why didn't they think it's the moon that eclipsing the sun? First, because they knew there are so many unseen celestial bodies in the sky. Second, because they knew the moon is behind the sun. If the moon is in front of the sun, you would see the moon is getting close to the sun before eclipses, right? But you never see it. Let's use our logics here. Why can't you see the stars during daytime? Because the sun is too bright, right? And because the stars are behind the sun. There is no star between the sun and the earth, even according to heliocentrism. All stars are behind the sun. The sun is very bright at daytime, therefore you can't see the stars during daytime. But the moon is 400 times closer than the sun, according to heliocentrism. The moon is between the earth and the sun when it's new moon, and it's behind the earth when it's full moon. Sometimes you can see the moon very clear in the morning. So why can't you see the moon when it's new moon? Because the sun is too bright? Hell no. You can see every single object in front of the sun during daytime. You can see the clouds, airplanes, birds, etc. Sometimes you can see the moon in the sunlight. So why can't you see the moon when it's new moon? Because the moon is in unseen position? No, it's not correct either. Even in heliocentrism, the moon is near the sun during the new moon. So why you never see the moon when it's new moon? Because the moon is behind the sun at the time of the new moon. Third, Babylonians who invented solar cycle never thought the sun is eclipsed by the moon because they knew the moon's body can't eclipse the sun. Ancient people were aware of many unidentified celestial bodies that sometimes can be seen with naked eyes. Only a dark celestial body can eclipse the sun out of nowhere. Just like lunar eclipses are caused by other celestial bodies, so are solar eclipses. Babylonians called it the planet of crossing, planet X, dark sun if you will. And so do every cultures in the world. In India, they call it Rahu and Ketu. In Java, Indonesia, they call it Batara Kala. Not because ancient people are stupid, but because they really use their senses. Their senses told them it's not the moon eclipsing the sun, it's a dark sky object that can absorb light. And it's not the Earth's shadow that eclipsed the moon either. It's a similar dark sky object. And you know what? They didn't just make theories. They calculated the cycle of these dark objects, so accurate we still use today, solar cycle. On the other hand, you don't use your own eyes and your own senses. You just follow what NASA told you. This is just to open your mind. The world is not like they told you. There are so many anomalies in eclipses. You can study the shadow using real-life scale model. I've tried with Pupung. We're using real sunlight, no question about brightness, lumens, and so on. But don't do it in open air, cause the bigger the light, the smaller the shadow. In total solar eclipses, the source of light should be the same with the object that eclipses it. Using scale model, for a 10 centimeters Earth, you have to use a 2.92 meters of pipe. This is very important to make the source of light to scale. The result is quite devastating. The shadow is about 16 times bigger than it should be. In reality, eclipse shadow size is about 70 miles or around 100 kilometers. They make it in CGI cartoons as if a 3,474 kilometers of moon from 384,000 kilometers distance can make a 100 kilometers of shadow. So they make CGI cartoons with shadow shaped like a pencil. It doesn't exist in reality. With real-life scale model, the shadow is actually 1,000 miles or 1,600 kilometers. With a globe model, eclipse shadow would cover the whole Kalimantan island. Unbelievable! With a globe model to scale, eclipse shadow would be so big that can cover Portugal, Spain, and France at once. This is a disaster for the globe model. All your life, you only see eclipses of fantasy. On the other hand, in the flat Earth model, the diameters of the Sun, the Moon, or whatever object eclipsing the Sun is about 32 miles or around 60 kilometers. If you don't like mathematics, you can use AutoCAD, a neutral software for professionals. You can verify by yourself from 5,000 kilometer height. They will make shadow size exactly like reality. 105.7 kilometers like the real eclipse shadow in Idaho Falls. Look at the eclipse shadow speed. Umbra velocity is 1,874 miles per hour or 3,015 kilometers per hour. Their science says eclipse shadow speed is the same as the moon speed because heliocentric sun is 400 times bigger than the moon. So 5 hours movement of the moon means nothing. Only makes 0.006989959 degree difference. If you like mathematics, you can verify yourself. Therefore, they say that the eclipse shadow moves at the same speed as the moon itself. It's mathematically correct with that assumptions, but it doesn't fit with reality. The moon travels at 3,683 kilometers, making shadow on Earth that spins at 1,670 kilometers, both to the same direction from west to east. The shadow should move at 2,013 kilometers per hour. But look at the reality. It moves at 3,015 kilometers per hour. It doesn't add up. You can also study the eclipse pattern. How can the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon creating such zigzag pattern? Look carefully. The path even goes slightly below Earth curvature. As NASA wrote in its official data, is a geocentric coordinate. What does it mean? Geocentric coordinate is geographic coordinate system in which the Earth is modeled as a sphere or spheroid in right-handed XYZ like 3D in AutoCAD. That means originally the coordinate is in flat map, then projected into the Earth globe model. In fact, all globe maps that you've seen in your entire life is a geocentric coordinate or a projection from a flat map to a globe map. Last but certainly not least is the one that we have discussed. Most people don't notice that the eclipse duration was 5 hours and don't realize what it means. This is the reason why I make this episode in English, to share that this kind of eclipse is mathematically and geometrically impossible on the globe model. Please don't use 3D animation model. You can make Superman spinning the Earth backward with CGI. Please use real-life scale model. The shadow will go outside the globe after 3 hours. You can take it from here and bring it to another level. I heard some people say, why proving the globe model is wrong? Why not proving the flat Earth model is right? Well, we're not supposed to make theories. It's not even our task. Before you start asking questions about flat Earth, you have to understand what's wrong with the globe model first. Like wise men say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But the bigger question is, why is it important to you? If If we're discussing about theories, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to have differences. It won't cost you money if flat Earth is wrong. On personal level, it doesn't matter whether you believe the Earth is square or triangle. It only matters in social level.
There will be blood in the water cold.
Because if heliocentric model is wrong, that means there are $1 trillion scandal in the last 60 years.
They bust hard on our shoulders.
That means space programs and satellites are hoax. Your communication costs should not be this high. Your national debt should not be that high. Most people don't realize or don't want to realize about their national debts. The world owes $68.7 trillion. Do you know how much money in circulation in the whole world?
This is our time, no turning back.
You have to look at the physical currency, the most liquid asset class of which all central banks pay attention. It's only $7.6 trillion. The world owes $68.7 trillion while the world only has $7.6 trillion. It's a debt you can never pay, ever. To whom the world owes that much? 99% people in the world owes to the 1% population, the global elites. If you still don't believe the global elites exist, you better listen to the Minister of Finance of Indonesia, a very smart and charming lady, former managing director of the World Bank Group.
Kalau di dunia lebih timpang lagi, 1% orang kaya di dunia menguasai 90% aset dunia itu.
How come a very small group of people can make the others owe to them without even knowing it? Because they have rigged the systems to benefit themselves at the expense of most people on Earth.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
Central banks in the US and Europe are privately owned corporations with the monopoly on creating money, but with no accountability. Those financial elites control all central banks in the world through the World Bank, IMF, and their elite financial agents. The system is quite simple. All countries in the world have to face budget deficits every year. Then all governments have to issue bonds. Then the financial elites finance the bonds by creating money from thin air because they have a monopoly on creating money. Then all governments collect taxes from the people to pay the interest. Next year, all governments face deficit again, and the never-ending cycle continues. The global elites have to create deficits in all national budgets. The biggest four deficit makers are wars, terrorism, financial crisis bailouts, and space program hoax, including satellite hoax. Those are the parasites that eat your stomach from the inside. That's what you have to pay from your taxes. Globe Earth hoax is the weakest link in their systems. You hit it right, the whole system will collapse. Meanwhile, Flat Earth Awakening gets the momentum all over the world. Indonesia is still the #1 Flat Earth topic in the world, according to Google Trends. People gather by themselves and made the Flat Earth 101 community. It's from the grassroots, bottom up. I didn't create them.
But legends never die.
Imagine there's no heaven.
On September 23rd, when the sun has its culmination at the equator in Pontianak, Indonesia, Flat Earth 101 community in all 34 provinces made a national movement to measure the sun distance in different locations. People from neighboring countries, Singapore, Malaysia, and Australia also participated in this event.
Imagine all the people living for today.
The result of this research has been presented in scientific journal format.
It isn't hard to do.
On October 28th, FE101 community made the second national movement. People in 34 provinces turned on mini Tesla coil wireless lamp.
Imagine all the people may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
To all Flat Earth 101 community who participated in this awesome national movement, thank you very much for your contribution. God bless you all. May God be with all of us. It's not only about energy saving, but it's a symbol of hope.
Nothing to kill or die for. And no relief.
There are many technologies that can save your money but suppressed by the global elites.
Imagine all the people.
You're not supposed to live in a world with expensive electricity, expensive gasoline, expensive telecommunication using satellite scam.
You may say I'm a dreamer.
You're not supposed to live in violent wars and terrorism designed by the elites to make your national budgets face deficits. You're not supposed to be industrial slaves, stressful life to pay your bills, and pay taxes to repay debts to super wealthy financial elites that have the monopoly on printing money from thin air without any gold backup. You deserve to live in a better world, live in harmony with nature, smiling faces everywhere, with inner happiness in your heart. That's what Flat Earth Awakening is all about.
I'm a dreamer.
See you in the next episode. Feel free to give your thoughts on the polls. Should I make next episode in English with Indonesian subtitle like this, or in Indonesian with English subtitle, or just in Indonesian without English translation? Thanks for watching this channel.
This is John Connor. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
Salam People Power.
And the world